What up, Cagesiders? Sean, all by myself. Well, not all by myself. I think I upgraded, but you know, everybody else is moaning and crying about no Morosco, but whatever. That's what he wants. I just want everybody to know that this is what Geno wants. Is he wants you to be like, oh, we miss you so much. You are CSS. So keep doing that, and he'll be back. In the meantime, I'm going to talk to some other people I've been wanting to talk to, starting with my man, D.E.O.
It's me.
What's up, man?
Not much. Went to the gym earlier, so I'm sore as shit.
All right, nice. We don't really talk about that around here. This is
trying to get my Finn Balor on, like a little bit of Apollo Crews too. I got the ball,
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, how many? What do you got? Like a 6-pack, an 8-pack, a 4-pack? What are we working on?
It's like a solid sheet of ice over it right now, and there's multiple cans underneath.
Nice.
It's there.
Yeah, you just got to reach down and get one.
Exactly.
There we go.
Reach past the good stuff, and you'll find it.
I got a bit of a Kevin Owens going on, whatever that is. So.
Hey, Kevin Owens is strong as shit.
So that's right. Actually, I shouldn't even say that because I've got like an 80-year-old man trapped in Kevin Owens' body going on. That's what I got going on. So we are here. I'm Sean again. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get more professional. I'm on Twitter at S1Rude. He's on Twitter at
I'm just D.E.O.
I'm just D.E.O. I get it confused. And that, he told you. So there you go. Yeah. And just so a little bit, just tell the people about you. How did you find Cageside? What's your wrestling history?
How did I find Cageside? I used to be the moderator over at Bloody Elbow. I was one of the senior moderators for about 4 or 5 years, I think it was. And I had taken a long break from watching pro wrestling. Like I was a kid of wrestling. My dad was a mark, like hardcore mark. Mm-hmm. We had a station wagon, and the back of the station wagon was full of wrestling magazines. He tape traded with Japan. It was random because it's Nigerian dude that's tape trading with people in Japan. Made no sense. But yeah, I was, WCW kid. I grew up in Marietta, where a lot of the wrestlers lived. So met most of the WCW guys. Place I used to work at, DDP used to come in all the time, and he is one of the biggest nerds on earth. It's great. And his ex-wife is probably one of the most beautiful I've ever met in my life too. Kimberly was amazing. But yeah, so that'll
make you a fan right there if you get to meet Kimberly as a kid. I mean, forget about it.
Exactly. So took a break right around when the UFC did the Ultimate Fighter. I kind of got burnt out on pro wrestling right around when Brock Lesnar was right around when he got really big. I took a break, and from 2005 until about 2011, I just stopped watching, and then I just got back into it the last 2 or 3 years or so. So,
all right. Yeah, I love that. I love the old school. My great grandmother was my Mark connection. She she didn't tape trade, or anything like that. But she was it was still real to her. We watched Saturdays were wrestling over at grandma's house, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
So cool. Yeah, and you outed yourself as the BE moderator, so don't add us about that. If you got old grudges.
Yeah,
you'll get banned at Cageside too, so don't start that shit. We don't have time for it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I probably have banned some people that are on CSL, or I know I've banned a good population of the RMMA Reddit. That's it is what it is.
Hey, there you go. All right, so Raw
was actually pretty good.
There you go. All right,
it wasn't there wasn't any super significant things that happened. But there was it was good. It was there for the most part. I forgot that I was watching wrestling with some of the things, which is what it should be.
True. Yep.
I wasn't sitting here trying to overanalyze things and fantasy book. I was just you know what? From the get-go, first segment was just wait a minute. This is actually good. I like this. We're good.
So how do you? So they did. I was surprised. I didn't think they were going to bring up Roman. I thought they were going to continue what they did last week and just pretend he was gone, but for no reason. But they got right on it from the start. So what'd you think about that?
I think it was good. The best thing to do, because if you don't put it out there, the fans are going to put it out there. And with Roman being the most polarizing guy on the roster, like they're going to let, you know, you're going to start getting chants. So it's better to get out in front of the bus before it starts to roll, you know, and this didn't feel like it was a scripted thing. It just felt like they were like, hey, give Seth the mic, let him talk. And Seth's great on the mic. So it worked, you know.
Yeah, and when you just let Seth fucking be Seth and don't let him be Triple H Jr., he's right. I mean, he was great on commentary later on, too, and that was just him being sort of a sarcastic ass, you know. Exactly. So, yeah, I would like I said, I was surprised, but, yeah, I was glad they did it. This is sort of a little bit off topic from Raw, but do you buy into any of the suspensions of work talk that's still going on? I think it died down right after it happened last week, but then the way they handled it last night has sort of brought it back up again.
Yeah, like it's McMahon, so you never know. It could always be a work. When it first came out, it didn't feel like a work, but now, like I could see like why yesterday made people start like, wait a minute, because there was a point where I was like, hold on, this could be a work, and it would be one of the greatest works of all time, because it could. I don't think it's going to rehabilitate Roman Reigns' image, but it's definitely gonna, you know, it's a good refreshment that he's gonna need to just take him away, you know, kind of like the bullshit that they did with him on Royal Rumble, where they were like, oh, let's take Roman out the ring for the last like 15 minutes of the match or whatever.
Yeah,
it's, you know, it's basically this, except it could be. I want to say it's not, but you never really know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say, I mean, last week I was just like, you guys are idiots. Of course it's not. They wouldn't fuck with this. I mean, this would blow up their like concussion lawsuits and their public relations spot. But yeah, I mean, they love to do anything to keep people arguing about Roman, and this has been a fucking lightning rod for that. So maybe, yeah. And like you said, and it sort of keeps him from getting too exposed, and you know, maybe he feels a little bit fresher when he comes back. I don't think it's going to change anybody's reaction to him. I mean, last night he was still. I mean, people were cheering Seth talking about, you know, him being gone. So
right, yeah, and it's, you know, and it's all the WWE's fault. Like they created this monster, I guess you'd say. Like, you know, from the time, because we all remember, I think it was last year or the year, whatever it was, where, you know, Cena and Reigns are in the ring, and Cena put his hand up, boos. Yep. Reigns put his hand up, cheers. Reigns, we were all behind Reigns. We were good to go. And then when he got the hernia and had to go get surgery, you know, he's out for this period of time. And then they were like, all right, we're just going to push him right back in. You can't do that, because he became the crowd favorite over a period of time. It was all organic. So when you take somebody out of a situation and you just shove them right back in, when other people have already started to to fill that vacuum, it's just not going to go, you know. And if there's one thing that you should know about wrestling fans, we're not going to want what you want us to want.
Right.
You know?
And it's like, I mean, they should have been leaking stories about how he had heat backstage with Vince, as opposed to letting all that stuff get out there about how he was the chosen one, if they really wanted him to get over with everybody.
Right.
But yeah, we can't get that can of worms back in. So that first opening segment, and I guess the theme for the night, which is another thing. I mean, I like when Raw has, sure, they didn't do anything last night except dance around. They teased that they were going to change the Battleground main event, and they ended up not doing it. And we all knew they weren't really going to do it. But at least it's set up. Like, I mean, it felt like a real TV show, right? I mean, there was a premise they set up. There were a couple of things that went with it. And then at the end, we got a resolution to that. And why is it that hard? Why can't they fucking do that more often? I mean, but, you know, that helped it for me. I mean, like I said, nothing actually happened, really. We're right back where we were when the show started. We got a triple threat at Battleground between the Shield Bros, and we still got Cena versus AJ. I guess they haven't made that official yet, but, you know, that's clearly still an ongoing thing.
Right, but the other thing that they planted the seed for Styles Rollins.
Yeah.
The whole "you owe me." So after everything's said and done, which I'm pretty sure Reigns is going to get the title back. Yeah, I just don't see them putting it on, you know, keeping it on Ambrose for a long period of time. But, you know, once Rollins is out from that situation, him and Styles, it's perfect.
Yep. And I think they're doing. I was just doing another post on the Japan house shows. They're doing a pretty right when Seth came back. They put him and AJ together on house shows, but since then they've been keeping them apart pretty carefully. Right. They just changed up the triple threat main event in Tokyo, so I think they do somewhere down the line. That's a big program, and maybe it is for a belt one if they bring back the world heavyweight, the world heavyweight belt for SmackDown, or it's if they both end up on Raw, it's still the title, the WWE title, whichever how they end up doing that. Right. So I think that's a good. Yeah.
Which is still the better looking title. Like,
oh yeah,
like you have that, and then the women's title is the second best looking title.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
I like the Intercontinental belt still. I mean, I don't know, the new WWE title's grown on me, but it's still it had to grow on me. I didn't like it at first.
Yeah, I do wish they would bring back like way back in the day. I remember Warrior had like this like one-off kind of like turquoise belt that they had way back in the day. Like,
oh yeah,
have some more stuff like that. That'd be great.
As long as they don't go with that Jeff Hardy TNA belt with like the Mardi Gras looking thing. Yeah, no. Yeah. The less said about that, the better. Yeah. What I don't know what happened next. I know you want to talk about the women's stuff, which actually started to happen earlier. Mm-hmm. We got a good Sasha Banks being built as a contender in kind of a logical, straightforward way. There was no horse shit. There was no distraction roll-up finish.
Right.
She hit her finisher, and, I still can't believe that even happened. I can't believe they got that spot. They've been in the 10 o'clock spot forever. They showed up at 8:15 or something last night. I mean, I've been really – I'm not getting sucked into it again because they have teased me with rebuilding the women's division a million times over the last year, and I fall for it every fucking time. So I got my defenses up, but so far the last 2 weeks with Sasha has been really good.
Yeah, and like I kind of think that this has been the plan for the whole time. Like Sasha, let's face it, Sasha is just the most magnetic character that they have in the women's division period at the moment until they bring Bayley up, which is just going to be, that is babyface concentrated.
Yeah.
But like it feel like it all feels like it's going to be good. Like, I didn't mind that what's her face? Dana Brooke was there. Because usually I'm
there you go, everybody. What's her face? Dana Brooke was there.
Yeah, like because usually, the past like month and a half, 2 months, like it's been botch city with her. And the thing is, she has the character's great, absolutely fantastic. Like when she was on NXT, couldn't stand her at first. I didn't know why Geno was like, oh, she's. I didn't get it. And then once it all started to click, and I was like, oh yeah, she's great. She just needs to get better in the ring. And, but yeah, that was it all felt good though. Like it felt natural. It wasn't like it wasn't like an obvious thing that we're trying to get this to be this. It just all felt like organic, like I said before with the other stuff. So.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I agree with you completely on Dana as being green as fucking grass. Yeah, I'm not. I mean, my concern at this point is I'm worried that her character was great because she had the perfect foil in Emma. Because I'm not feeling her with Charlotte at all. I feel, and that's
I mean, and it was one of those things where it was well, we got her up here. We can't send her back.
Yeah,
they should. So they're like,
and maybe that's a Charlotte problem too, as much of a Dana problem, because I like Charlotte, but there's always something that's keeping me from really liking Charlotte.
Well, it's because Charlotte had Rick for the longest time. Yeah. They worked at first. They worked really well together, but then when it was like, okay, Rick, you're getting gross, and I'm saying this as a Ric Flair fan.
I see. Yes. I want to point out to everybody that D.E.O. is rocking the Ric Flair shirt, and I am rocking the TNA Christian shirt. So we understand where everybody's coming from.
Yeah. So
I'm not saying that it's like I'm proud of it. I just want to make sure everybody notices.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, it's just like she always had someone better working with her. Yeah. Like in NXT, she had Sasha Banks for that period of time.
Yep.
And Sasha Banks is just a better character worker. With Charlotte, she does have those glimpses, those brief little shining moments where it's like, oh shit, once everything comes together, it's going to be amazing. And she's athletic as all get out.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I hope it comes together. It's just, it's always like just like you said. I mean, it's right. You see why they keep pushing her, but it hasn't. She's a lot like Reigns in that regard, really, because you see. Yeah. I mean, I can hate on Roman sometimes, but then there are flashes where you're like, damn, if he can just put it all together.
Like, and the thing is, as much as like people, because we know at this point, like that Vince does micromanage stuff. And you can tell with like some of the infamous Reigns promos and things he's done of, saying succotash and other shit that nobody in his age range says unless they're reading an old book.
Right.
Like he had those moments in the Shield with the "What's my name?" Like you have when he's just the silent badass, and when it's just felt like, oh yeah, he's a silent big badass Samoan dude that's just speaking like a quiet badass Samoan guy gonna talk, and with Charlotte, like same thing,
Yeah, I mean that's I always remember she had Sasha in NXT. She also had Summer Rae in NXT, who is another great character person, who would be a good model for Dana to follow, but she's not quite there yet. So that was that. I don't know. Then what happened? Let me pull up. See, this is why this show is what it is. Well, I know on the women's stuff, I know you have one or two things that you wanted to say about the other women's segment of the night, which is noteworthy. We got two women's segment. We got with the continuation of the Becky Natalya feud, which for some reason that is unclear to pretty much everybody, they decided to build by putting Nattie on a microphone,
which is the worst. Nattie is in the ring. She is one of the pretty much the most well-rounded, most experienced woman on the roster. And she's great when she's doing that. But when she opens her mouth in any way, shape, or form, it's just all bad. Like, and this isn't like, with the whole thing now when people like don't like how women sound or when they talk like with the whole Hillary Clinton thing, no, this isn't that. Like my job, I literally just watch people and listen all day behind the camera. And her voice is like, she doesn't speak out of her mouth. She speaks out of her nose. And that just doesn't pick up on microphones well. There's that. And then it's monotone in everything that she does. And not only that, she can't like what was the last pay-per-view? I'm terrible with names.
Money in the Bank.
Money in the Bank. When she's sitting there doing the fake cry, and they kept on going back, and it's like, no, don't do that. She's not good at this. She's not good at this. Don't do it. So, that being said, Becky's great. Becky was great. Like, I'm not as big on Becky as some other people are, but
you and me both, brother. Yep.
But she is great when she has a story and a person that she can work with, which the matches, if they actually let them go, and that's the problem on the main roster, like, we have all of these times where, between Charlotte and Natalya that had amazing matches in NXT, or, Sasha and Charlotte, but then when you get to the main roster, they kind of have to dumb all that stuff down, and so it's like,
Yeah. I hope. I mean, I would love to see on pay-per-view or anywhere a 10-minute match between Nattie and Becky.
Yeah.
But I mean, that feels like that's the best we could hope for. I mean, we didn't even get a match last night. I thought the character stuff was great. I mean, it's about time that Becky snapped on somebody for having been betrayed for the 800th time now, I think, in the last 6 months.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But
it's gonna be amazing when Bayley comes up and turns on her too. It's going to be great.
The unkindest cut of them all. So let's. Well, I'm going to sidetrack here. So, how are you? You sounds like you're excited for Bayley's call up.
I am, yeah, because like Bayley is, she's been the anchor, one of the main anchors of NXT since forever, and like when she comes out, she has the potential to get bigger pops than the New Day gets now. Because, once the song, stop. And once that happens, and the wacky,
inflatable
floating too, like that's just going to go. Everybody's gonna love that. Like it's just and she's solid in the ring. So promos.
So you don't think that they're gonna? I mean, yeah, I agree with all. I mean, I'm a Becky brings out the mark in me. I feel like my grandmother watching Becky because I get really upset. I mean, Bayley, when I get upset when she loses, I overlook the fact that she's not. I mean, I totally just go off the emotion of the promos. I'm not worried about critiquing it as like how great her lines were delivered and stuff like that.
Exactly. Like Bayley's all of us. That's what it is.
Exactly.
Like she is the mark that got to live the dream.
Yep.
She is female Daniel Bryan.
Exactly. Yep.
So
yeah. And I kind of want to have sex with her too, but don't let that ruin anything for anybody.
Hey, I mean, we're both grown men, so
exactly, and she is an adult as well. So it's not the character that I want to have sex with either. It's okay. Sorry. I'm off on a tangent. But are you? So I'm as that Bayley mark. I am a little bit terrified that she's going to come up and be like partnered with Zack Ryder and.
Like that's always. But I think the crowd reaction, because a lot of the decisions that have happened over the past, few months, it feels like that's what it is.
True.
Like it all feels like no matter if the crowd reacts a certain way and they don't expect it to. So like with the New Day, especially, like that's a perfect example. When the New Day first came out, I hated them. Couldn't stand them. Yep. They were every single black stereotype that I had grown to hate when it came to how McMahon's booked black wrestlers.
Yep.
And then once he was like, fuck it, I don't know what to do here. You guys have ideas? Sure, go out there and do it. And, like organically, they just made shit work. And with Bayley, the character's she's just going to draw people in. And it's gonna be great that we don't have to see Izzy anymore because that's tired of that.
Yeah, Izzy's gotten a little bit too big for her own britches, I think. Although I don't know, the family might fly her up there. They like the spotlight.
Yeah,
I don't know. All right, I'm with you because the other good example recently too is AJ Styles, who by all accounts was supposed to be like a mid-card fodder guy, and the crowd reaction has forced him into the main event. So, all right, thank you for that, sir. I feel a little bit better now. Nattie. Oh yeah,
Nattie.
So,
like the matches will be great. The matches we can count on the matches being good, but just limit her. Like Nattie needs a manager or another mouthpiece, or I would have even said put Dana with Nattie instead, because they've both got they're both built similarly. They're both the workout enthusiasts. Of course, Charlotte is too, with their whole you can't lift with us thing that they've been saying.
Right.
But like, I think it would have been, those two would have been a better, especially with like how Nattie is on Instagram and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Like that would have been like a perfect match. So. And
that was, this might have been like during your break, but what did they call, when she was with Beth Phoenix, what did they call them?
Oh, was the Glamazons, I think it was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the same. That's what that reminds me of right there. And that's, Charlotte, because that's the other problem with Dana with Charlotte is she doesn't need a heater. She's supposed to be genetically superior, as fucked up as that line is. But
that was when it first happened. I was like, oh shit, and that was right around when like racial tensions, I guess you say, was like were super high. I was like, yo, y'all gotta chill. This could come back and bite y'all in the ass really badly. So.
Well, that like you said, that's anytime Vince is writing anything, pretty much it could go terribly wrong.
Terribly.
So I like that segment. I think the problem with Nattie, I think that her Total Divas character got over,
right?
And so they think they need to put her on TV as sort of that character, and it doesn't translate because I don't watch Total Divas a lot, but I watch like clips or a few episodes here and there, and that's sort of like weird. It comes across well in that setting, in that fake real setting, and then you try to put it into a different kind of fake real setting with wrestling, and like you said, it just doesn't work. Doesn't translate.
Yeah, and like that's the thing too. Like that's the whole weird kayfabe, non-kayfabe thing that the WWE's got going on now. So, you know, you've got the character in the ring, and then you have the character on Total Divas.
Yep.
And then you have the characters that are on Up, Up, Down, Down.
Yep.
And then you have, you know, the person, like you have all these different, we're all seeing all these different sides and faces and facets of each person. There's different each time. Like Baron Corbin was just on Up, Up, Down, Down, and was actually a really cool dude. I was like, oh shit. Plus he was playing Road Rash, which is like one of my favorite games ever.
Oh yeah. Now I gotta go watch that. I've been boycotting all things Baron Corbin since he blocked me.
It was great.
I gotta go watch that now.
Yeah, no, like I boycotted fucking Mauro Ranallo for years because his MMA commentary it worked in pro wrestling because it's over the top. But in MMA and kickboxing, I was like, dude, stop. And then he blocked me. So there's that. He's kind of sensitive.
I mean, like we were talking about off the air. I mean, I get that. I could see like you just reach a point where there's so much fucking negativity just because anybody knows your name. But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, because like you said too, in social media personalities, which is like a fourth aspect of it, which it's great and it makes wrestling unique, but it also presents them all kind of problems. I always feel like they're trying to figure out how to merge all those things on the fly, which goes with Vince's micromanaging too. It's all part of what makes this such a weird, unique thing. But yeah, they get in their own way with it a lot, and I think that's kind of what happens with Nattie is they want to try to get that, you know, adorkable, you know, socially awkward woman who's more comfortable with their cats than people character on TV, and then they
no, don't do it.
Yeah, and then but they still have her cut a traditional wrestling promo where, and you know, like you said, she's talking out her nose and quoting her uncle and and that's the other thing too. So like I understand legacy wrestlers, you know, taking on stuff from the previous people, but come up like it's, you know, you kind of have to build things on your own. Yep.
You know, like The Rock didn't really take a ton from his dad.
Right.
You know, the Roman Reigns hasn't taken shit from his dad outside of being Samoan. You know, like you have all of these, you know, the other legacy wrestlers that have built or had help building things on their own. But like with Nattie, it's like I understand, I get it. You're part of the Hart family. Cool. But just don't do it. Like,
well, they do that, and this is my one knock about the Sasha segment is they do this. It's a crutch they fall back with on the women all the time. Like they can't. Yeah. I guess since Snoop didn't wrestle, they don't have anything to talk about with Sasha, so they bring up constantly that Eddie was her favorite wrestler.
Right.
So it's like we can see she's badass. She's got charisma. We're attracted to. We want to see what she's going to do. We don't need to hear that. You know why she does it necessarily. Every once in a while, sure, but they gotta move away from that for a little while with the women if they're gonna stand on their own.
Right, and it's been the same thing. So since I was big into MMA, still like it's been this kind of like the same thing that's been happening with on that side. It's, you know, there's a very similar parallel where, you know, the women they're not given the spots that they were, you know, like you always have the one person up at the top, which for 3-4 years was Ronda Rousey.
Yep.
And everybody else, they were just kind of like, we don't know how to promote these people. We don't know what to do with this one here. You know, it's just very, and plus there's still just so much like stupid backlash and like they programmed, you know, and not only do they not know how to book the women and handle them properly, but for like that period that I was gone, that like 10-year period, give or take, I would say, where it was bullshit. Like they trained the audience to expect nothing from the women outside of like, you know, every now and then you had one good wrestler, but then Vince would fuck that up. You know, like you had a Gail Kim, or as some people call it, Stale Kim. I never, whatever.
Right.
You know,
it's funny. I don't necessarily agree with it, but
I
it's
don't agree with it.
Yeah.
Her husband's a douchebag, but you know.
Yeah.
But like, you know, you would have these little spots, but for the most part, it was still bra and panties bullshit. You had like, you know, mudless wrestling matches or pudding wrestling. Like it was just still bullshit. So like, you still have that section of the crowd, and let's be real. No matter what you do with the culture that we have in America right now, and women are going to be. You're just not going to please a certain part of the audience, Like you're still going to have the people that are going to be like, oh, why aren't they more scantily clad? You're still going to have that bullshit. So like, it's going to be an uphill battle no matter what when it comes to this stuff. Like I do hope that they start treating it more like NXT does.
Yeah.
When it comes to things, but sadly, until Vince can no longer do it, it's not going to change.
So another 30 or 40 years probably.
Basically, like Vince is going to be like 127 years old. Fucking having like Roman Reigns' son or daughter is going to be the women's champion talking about succotash and shit. So
that's probably our best hope is Roman Reigns' daughter. She'll be the one that finally gets women treated right because he'll still be in love with the Reigns family. So,
God damn it, she's great.
Make whatever her name is look strong.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. They gotta. Sometimes I argue for that too. Is they gotta sort of overcompensate for. Yeah, I mean, I remember like those. There were at least like 4 WrestleManias in a row where the only thing the women did was some like softcore porn thing.
Right.
A lot of times it didn't even get to the ring. Right. It's just like we're gonna throw pillows at each other on the stage. I mean,
there was like one. I forgot. I think it was like 2013 when I kind of started creeping back into my fandom, and like I want to say it was SummerSlam because I think the arena was outdoors, and like I was watching, and then the women's match came on, and I was like, "What the fuck is this? Like, what the fuck is this?" It's just. It was fucking terrible. Yeah,
I mean, and that's some of the tragedy of like AJ Lee, which she wasn't the best worker, but she had a great character and she was sort of Bayley before she was Bayley if they would have let her be a babyface.
Right.
But she got stuck in the tail end of that and she was doing some swimsuit matches and she was such the wrong fit for that. It fucking sucked. But anyway, let's see. There was some bullshit on this show, I think. It involved Kane a lot, I think.
Yeah.
So what do you think of the demon fake out? The swap from instead of Balor, we got old Glenn Jacobs.
What a stupid show. What a stupid show.
There you go. That's 2 of them, people. Count them. This was just one of those things where they were like, it was either, Vince saw social media and was like, oh, God damn, no, we're not going to give them what they want. No Finn Balor. You know what they like? The Demon Kane. Like, no. Like, love Glenn Jacobs. Like, Kane was one of my favorite wrestlers growing up. He was fucking fantastic. But, like, he's getting up there. Like, you can only, bring the old horse out so many times before the leg's gonna break and you're gonna have to take it back and shoot it. Like it's just like, and I understand, like he's still stable, he's still serviceable, but like just do something else, man. Like I mean, I get a kick. I get a kick out of the dumb corporate Kane character. I
love the corporate Kane.
It's funny, yeah.
He does. I just don't want him to be in the ring.
Exactly, and that's. As soon as they did that setup, I'm like, this is where we're going. And a few people started tweeting, maybe this is Finn. And I'm like, no, it's not. But, you enjoy yourself. And then Jason Martin said, well, maybe this is where they roll out Neville. And I'm like, oh, maybe. And so I even worked myself into thinking that. And then there it is. Here comes Kane. And it looks like this feud might go on.
Right. And like, it's fucking terrible. And there's no, like, it's what, actually, I think it is kind of like, it could just be a space holder for the time being until, whether it's a Neville or whether it's a Finn. I don't think they would bring Finn in immediately with The Miz because Finn's not great on the mic and The Miz is great on the mic. I don't care what anybody says. Like,
oh, absolutely.
The Miz is amazing on the mic. Like he's been amazing on the mic since back in the days of the Real World. Even though Coral beat him in a match and cut better promos on him, still to this day cuts better promo. But yeah, like it's That's what I'm hoping. I'm just hoping it's a space holder until, you know, maybe they're going to hit the refresh button on Neville and have him be, you know, tweener Neville that he was in NXT, where still a good guy, but he's a dick, you know?
Yep.
You know, like that would be great. But, you know, it's, yeah.
I mean, it feels like they're doing a lot. I mean, like I said, I like this show, but it feels like there's a lot of placeholder going on. And they still didn't bring up, I mean, the other thing I was expecting last night, I didn't expect Reigns talk, but I did expect some teases about, like, you know, starting to have guys jockeying for position with the draft or things like that. And they're still not even really.
Yeah.
Stephanie's making comments about how she wants to run SmackDown. But other than that.
And that is the most, like, this whole thing where it's like, oh, Shane's on vacation this week. But you were on vacation last week. So, like, what are you talking about? Like, it's like, when Steph's a great character. Steph is great at what she does. But, like, the times that they choose to use her is just baffling, you know? Like, and this is one of those times where it's like, okay, I understand what you guys are moving towards, but, like, there's nothing. It's up, down each week. There's no stability whatsoever.
Right.
So yeah,
and I think it's crazy to think, but we mentioned earlier Vince micromanaging, but there's also this. I think we all know that they're not really great at long-term planning at this point.
Right.
So there's a real chance that they don't know what the first show after the brand split's going to look like at this point. Yeah. I mean, they probably have some ideas, and they'll probably change those 16 times, but. I mean, that's just crazy to think. I mean, from what I know of how other people run television shows or how real, you know, competitive sports organizations plan out schedules and things like that, to think that this is still, they want to be this Fortune 500 company, but they still run it like a fucking carnival sideshow a lot of times. It's unbelievable.
Like, and especially when you have these great, like, as far as like storytelling goes, Lucha Underground.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's, of course, that is a shorter time period, of course, but people get injured and they fix the shit on the fly when they like, and it's, you know, I understand that you guys have, like, shit happens, people get injured, you know, like maybe this character, like, and the other, like, you can't sour on a character as quickly as they do, you know. So like Tyler Breeze came up, Vince soured on him real quick, or as from what we've heard, Vince has
and now apparently he likes him again too, or something.
Well,
new rumor.
Well, Vince has some serious things when it comes to homoeroticism in his storylines. That's
and he's always had a crush on Fandango too, from going back to whatever that was, WrestleMania 30. So
always. So
Tyler's living Vince's dreams of.
Tyler is Vince right now.
Doing dick-to-dick hot tanning bed scenes with Fandango.
It's funny because it's true. So,
and we still got in a little hashtag cock talk there, and we haven't even gotten a peen watch yet. So
no, but there was so much peen watch last night. That was fucking amazing. We had Del Rio. We had Bo just came out there free balling like a motherfucker.
Bo just looked like he had like a kielbasa and some plums in his pants.
Like, Bo was just like, you know what? We're doing this tonight. Like, that was something. That was something. So,
and that was mixed in with that they were HARD hard.
HARD hard. Like, that was like early 2000s Japanese hard gay character shit. Like, that was like that. Like, I was at first when I was like, oh, HA, are they? Oh wow, they're going here. They did it. They did it. Fantastic. Fantastic.
So that went on. I mean, that was an entertaining segment. I mean, Enzo and Cass squashed some jobbers, which we don't see local talent on Raw that often.
Right. But first thing for me, it was like, for Cass and Enzo, like, I don't really see them as people that need squash matches, you know, like the character driven Not so much Cass. Cass is a fucking hoss, but
Yeah.
like it was just weird. I could understand like if that's kind of what they should have done. If they wanted to keep the Ascension a thing, but then like the Ascension got up here and we saw, holy shit, the Ascension is actually like regular size guys. The big guy, Full Sail had us fooled for so long.
Yeah, it's all a matter of perspective, man. I mean, Yeah, what else happened? Was Corbin even on this show?
I don't think so.
And Ziggler wasn't either, was he? I don't know.
Like,
not that I'm terribly upset, but they're destined to fight forever.
Yeah, like we want, Zayn and Owens to fight forever. But let's be real, it's going to be Corbin and Ziggler that's going to fight forever.
They're going to draft the same brand. It's just never going to stop.
Never going to stop until they become a tag team.
Of course, that's true.
And then we'll get to see, Corbin shake his hips around while his stomach talks to us. Like
yeah. I try not to look at that.
Once it was pointed out.
That's true. That's true. Once you've seen somebody like put a crying Jordan face over there too, or whatever people do.
Yeah.
All right. So here's what I've been waiting 45 minutes now to get into with you.
Mm-hmm.
You were the leader of the Sean You're Wrong, Jericho is Trash Brigade.
He is trash. He was and so.
But do you now admit that he is entertaining as fuck?
Now he is. What he was before was hot garbage, trash, basura, terrible. Like it was because they built everything up properly. Like the whole. Do you understand what is coming out about? Like all the things that he's doing now work. Plus, he's working with people that he can go back and forth with. Before he was just doing this shit, and we're like, who the fuck? There's no chemistry between you and Ambrose. Like it just didn't work. Like Ambrose he's good when he at one thing. That's it. But now you've got Owens and you have Zayn and like that little trio of good talkers. Like Zayn is a very great emotional promo.
Yep.
Owens is fucking quick-witted as shit and can just, rattle it off the cuff. Yep. So it all works. Before it was trash. Like it was hot garbage. And he's coming out with his fucking dad skinny jeans on and his goddamn, like I swear to God, he bought those little vests from the children's section. Like this shit is fucking terrible. Like just no. And I hate his fucking hair thing that he's doing because like, male pattern baldness is happening to him. And he's like, since it's spiked, you can't tell. But if he laid the shit back, it'd be like Baron Corbin. Guaranteed.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't argue with any of that, but I am such a Chris Jericho mark that I remain convinced that all of the terrible babyface stuff was just a setup for this heel run. But
it was not. It was not.
Definitely all right. I'm gonna believe that anyway,
because the thing was like Jericho would just come back for these little short periods of time. This is like the longest that he's been.
This is like a full-on return at this point, I think.
Yeah, like I think they probably were like, you know what, fuck it. You're finally kind of catching fire, so like whatever we need to pay you to not go tour with Fozzy, which is
that is hot garbage. You won't get any argument out of me with that.
Ooh, wow. Man, like. Like this,
that's like every time I listen to Fozzy, I'm like, this is like a parody, right? This is
Fozzy. Trash.
Wow, he busted out the props on me. Oh shit.
Yeah. Not about
serious now. All right. Well, he was great last night. So that's all
great.
Yeah. I thought that segment was awesome. I mean, that was like. And the amazing thing is they can do the fight forever. I mean, this was a promo right out of their NXT contract signing from like last January, and it still felt fresh and, and it still sucked me right in. I think they're probably going to split them up. Probably because they're too lazy to figure out any other way to resolve the story. So,
and the thing is, like, it kind of makes sense to split them up for a while. Like you can't. I understand the whole thing of wanting them to fight forever, but you can't. You know,
No.
what's good, because the only way that ends is them becoming a tag team, which eventually, sure, that'll work out great.
Right.
But for now, let the fire build. Then they have a little bit of they'll kind of stop a little bit for now. And then split them up for a bit, let them build again. And then, what is it? Absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Yep.
So, then you haven't seen that together. So then when that comes back, the chemistry is going to be there again still.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
and that's, and really, I right now I just did it, and I did it on Twitter last night. I sort of knocked WWE for not being creative to do something different, but nobody ever has. When their Ring of Honor feud ended, it was because Kevin Owens then Steen went away for like a year. Right. Their NXT feud ended when Sammy got hurt. So that's really the only way they've ever wrapped up the feud, is they just put it on hold for a while, which is what they'll do here. So, man,
because it'll, as much as people like to think, oh yeah, we can just have them fight every single, even if it's not every pay-per-view, every other pay-per-view, you will get tired of it.
Yep.
You'll get tired of it. And that was one of the issues that we used to have back in the day of WCW. You would end up seeing the same fucking match so many times. Yep. You can only see some shit on Nitro so many times and on pay-per-views. And it's like, no, let other people, you won't know if they have good chemistry with other people if you don't let them go work with other people, And they're the type of people that are going to bring out more in others, Yeah, this is.
Yeah, agreed. So what else? I think the only thing we haven't talked about then is, I guess, the main event was part of that same story. But let's talk about Dean Ambrose. We touched on him there a little bit.
Oh, the other thing. So the New Day.
Okay, let's talk about that first, and then we'll wrap up with the champ.
Yeah. So
New Day Wyatts, which when it first happened, was like, I don't like it. I don't want this to happen. Don't do it. You're going to fuck up two things. But it's actually being done properly. And I'm going to go ahead and go on the record and say Xavier Woods is one of the most talented people on the roster, period. Like, even just a little simple character work stuff he's been doing the past 2 Raws has been great. And not only that, but the WWE, with the camera work, that they finally got the camera work right this time. Last week, they really weren't paying attention too much to Xavier, and he was the one that was actually showing what was going on. So yeah, it's been good. If Luke Harper was here, it'd be even better. Because let's be real, Luke Harper is the glue that holds the Wyatts together. They had Eric Rowan had an awesome mask last night, though. I like the goat. So that's a goat now, I guess, with the horns?
Yeah, it's a goat now. So I was like, this is super creepy, super spooky. Bray Wyatt's got the whole dreadlock thing going on now, too. Braun Strowman, the black mask is great, but you still look like a fucking he looks like the biggest fucking baby on earth.
They need to find a way to keep the mask on even when he wrestles.
Jesus fucking Christ. Yes. Because it's you see everything below here. And it's just holy shit, this is a big fucking dude. And then you get up to here and it's okay.
He's so adorable. I want to squeeze his cheeks.
I just want to pinch his nose and be like, I got your nose, it just doesn't work. It just, yeah. But
no, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's it.
I was in the exact same boat. I think I didn't know what the hell that they were doing. I still don't. There's still issues with it. I'm assuming the Wyatts lose this, which they need to stop losing every feud they're in. Although I think they could go. If they do sway Xavier, and then maybe they go somewhere interesting with it in the interim. I think it's amazing to me how the New Day is the first group that's been over enough as baby faces to actually get the Wyatts not only heat, but they actually feel creepy. You're like, please don't hurt the New Day. We love the New Day. Don't. Exactly. We're actually scared, but a lot of that goes to Xavier because we're seeing somebody act scared of them instead of just making jokes and doing Photoshop promos about them and the whole 9 yards.
Right. And like the whole, like I remember back in like when it was still Wyatt's versus fucking Cena. And like, sure, the fucking, like the thing with the little kid at the cage, had that been anybody else, it probably would have been scarier, but it's Cena, and Cena doesn't know how to really emote. He's always got the one shocked face, and that's it. So yeah.
It's why he's good as like for 5 minutes in comedy skits too, because he's got that the one over exaggerated face that's funny, but it doesn't convey anything other than that. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, I want. I need to go back and watch it, but the New Day's their little cut scene, their version of the Wyatt's thing with like with the rainbow on the pregnant woman's belly.
Amazing. Like,
and you know, those 3 guys are back there going, "Oh, you know what? Get a pregnant woman in there."
Right. Right. Exactly. And it's like you can, and the thing is, you can tell that all of this it's them.
Yep.
And this is why it works. All of these things are just all the characters in this current thing. Well, I don't know so much about Big Baby McShitface or Eric Rowan, but like Bray Wyatt, Big E, Kofi, Xavier, these are all just exaggerated, and it's the best characters, always just exaggerations of who you already are. So for me, I was like, this shit's fucking great.
Yeah.
You know, they did it right. Like that's just, and I'm always afraid when it comes to like character driven things where like Vince is gonna be Vince, or not just Vince, but everybody else, Kevin Dunn and you know, fucking Michael Hayes and all that shit. Like I kind of be like that. I don't think they understand. The biggest thing, I just don't think they understand how the world has changed around them is the issue with a lot of the booking, period.
Yeah.
You know, you've had like when we had, what was it, the podcast the other day with Freddie Prinze Jr. and he's talking about how like Vince didn't know who Richard Pryor was. Vince didn't know who RoboCop was. And it's like, what? These are pretty big things. Like, you know, you're still trying to book people as, you know, babyface heel, and you can't really do that anymore because when you look at most characters in the movies now, everybody is a tweener. You know, everybody is like most popular characters in comic books, Wolverine and Deadpool, on the Marvel side are like they're anti-heroes. Batman's an anti-hero. You have all of these things, these people that are in the gray, and that's why people connect to them, because squeaky clean image and just dirtbag image, that doesn't really work in, you know, real life anymore. So like,
yeah, like you said, and they're trying to do this sort of reality thing where they touch on that, but then they still want to do these kind of characters sometimes. And I think the other thing too that we know about backstage WWE is there's a bunch of politics. So the thing that scares me about storyline stuff too is somebody might love this story, somebody loves it, but then somebody who doesn't, for whatever reason, gets it in air and is like, well, we should probably pull the plug on this. I don't think it's working. And then maybe they do,
and they'll do that all within a week and a half.
Yep, exactly. So we could have this phenomenal segment last night in between the New Day and the Wyatts, but for some reason somebody convinces Vince that it's not the way to go, and next week it gets wrapped up in one like joke segment, and you know, And
then the thing, like the moment that they start to have, you know what, like I think they do, from what we can tell, like they have a kind of a rough skeleton. They're like, okay, this is the end that we want, and all the other shit in between we don't really like. The moment that they start to actually sit there and like, instead of getting creatives that are kind of just going to kowtow and acquiesce to the higher ups, they need to actually get people that are writing stories. You know, you had, like we said before with Lucha Underground, like they actually have writers from movies and TV shows that understand how characters work and understand how they're going to connect to, you know, because, you know, if you watch CMLL or AAA, like, the stories, and there's not really a ton of story usually. Like the people at the top events are going to have a story, you know, like the whole thing last year with Rey Mysterio Jr. and Mystico, or whatever the fuck his name is. Yeah. You know, like you'll have, that's a story. But you know, but once they got to Lucha Underground, you have these great stories. Like,
yep.
Like the moment that they actually sit down and have, you know what, this is going to be the groundwork. Sure, we're going to go ahead and still let you guys cut promos that you can craft yourselves, but it has to incorporate this. Not like how Vince is like, oh yeah, tell him it's a bowl of succotash. We don't know what the fuck that is, Vince. Like, we don't. So, the moment that they actually sit down and do that, I think it'll be a lot better. Because of course you're gonna have the people that are like, oh, Vince is a genius. Everything that he does is gonna work. And it's like, well, actually, no. You just are used to this. You're used to getting what he gives you, and you have to like it, or you just don't watch.
Right.
And it's like when people finally get to see something new and different, like that's why NXT has become so popular, because it's like, whoa, wait a minute, we actually have, there's something different here. Like it's, most of the time, the stuff makes sense. And it's like, so the moment that they actually start to book stuff more like that and write things more like that and actually listen to what writers have to say, as opposed to, with this whole like, oh, well, I bought this toy and it was great for a week. I don't like it anymore. I'm just going to throw it in the chest.
I'm bored with it now. Yep.
Yeah. That doesn't really work when it comes to, building people. But at the same time, I don't really think that's what he wants to do, is really build anybody outside of anything, really. So.
His model's always been the guy at the top makes the money and the rest of the shit just fills out the time. So, I mean, hopefully the brand split gets us to where some other people have a voice. And I mean, I would like, that's like you brought it up. It's the perfect point. The way that Lucha Underground took a guy like fucking Drago or Aerostar, and all of a sudden they're cool as shit. Even Pentagon.
You're like Pentagon was just
Pentagon's a main eventer, and he was just a guy.
Exactly. Like Pentagon Jr. was literally just a fucking. I was like, oh yeah, I used to remember seeing Pentagon Jr. every now and then if I watched the AAA show or something. Yeah. But it's like now it's like, Cero Miedo, like like
I can't do it right. Everybody makes fun of me, but yeah, I mean he is the badass now, and that's just because they decided to tell a real story with them, with delineated beats and a place to go at the end, and you could do. I mean, there's no reason Baron Corbin or any of those
very easily do this shit,
I mean, or maybe even Apollo Crews if he stops being Drake soft all the goddamn time.
He is every single fucking Drake song. Apollo Crews is the type of guy that takes a bottle of water to the ocean and sets it free. Like, and the thing is, like, it could have been. And here's the thing, like the I would say like the last few months that he was in NXT, it kind of started to see that he was kind of forming a little bit of a character. He was like, he got a little cocky. He got a little bit of an edge. He was the nice guy that's a dick. Like he was, he would get in people's way and, and then, but still smile at him. I was like, this could work. And then it's just like, now we're just like, oh, he's smiling black eye now.
Yep.
Like it's just, So it's, once they start to actually like work shit out and plan, and like the excuse that they always make is, well, stuff happens. Well, yeah, stuff can happen, but you can still keep that story moving without completely blowing it to shit and starting something new, because you've built this far.
Yep.
And then all of this that you made, fuck it, we're just gonna wipe it clean. Start from the beginning again? No, that's not how storytelling works. So
and they do it, and when shit happens with somebody like Roman Reigns, they find a way to work around it and keep the story going. But they use that excuse as soon as it's somebody who's not that important to them. It's like, oh no, we just got to scrap that.
Right.
All right. So Dean Ambrose is the champ for a little while anyway. So how's that working out for you? A couple weeks in.
I mean, it works. Like to take it, like as long as it was off Reigns, we're good.
Yeah.
Because he needs, like, if they do it properly, I have no problem with Reigns being a champion. No problem. He's had some of the best matches of the past 6 months or so.
Yeah.
Of course, that was because he was working with great people to make those great matches. But like, I would have no problem if they actually did the story properly. And like I've said this for months, I've been saying it. It's not that I don't like Reigns. I just don't like how the WWE's handled it. Because it's like, you can't, if you lose momentum, you can't just jam somebody right back into the spot that they were in. It's that's not how it works. Like if you're standing in line at fucking Walmart and you're like, shit, I need to go and get some. You can't just go jump back in line. People are gonna be pissed off. Like that's what this is. So like, yeah, you can't. It works like Dean Ambrose works. He's good. When they actually let him wrestle, he's actually good. And like, I'm not a fan of the wacky shit because like, and I'm really not a fan of like JBL. Oh, it's the lunatic fringe, Maggle. Like, no. Like, you can't continuously say that he's crazy when he's just being goofy. The moment that they actually do let him be crazy and let him become unhinged and let him become like, I'm not so much a Mankind, but like a Cactus Jack type character and let him run free. Like, I'm not saying that he needs to fucking run around with a chainsaw or like, it is the PG era, so he really can't like run around with a barbed wire. Like, but the moment that they actually let him become a deranged psychopath and let him just do, it'd be great. Like, then you can actually say it's the Ambrose Asylum. Then you can have all this crazy shit that you've been saying. He's not crazy though. Like, you've done nothing for it to prove that he's crazy. You just been like, oh, he's goofy.
Yeah, there's a difference between crazy and goofy, and that so far they give us goofy all the time.
All the time.
And they tease, and like you said, they give him a chainsaw, but then they don't let him use it, so it even looks worse.
Right.
Yeah.
And then but even in that match, like for me, if you're not gonna allow stuff to happen, don't even book a match like that. Like if you're, and I'm not saying that they should be able to use chainsaws. It's stupid. Right? like the whole, like you still like all the people that are like, oh, we need to bring the hardcore title back. No, we don't. No. You can't. If you can't have, there's no shots to the head. There's no there's all this stuff that it was not that you can't have. It's not gonna be the same.
Right.
Like, and most of us now, if we were to actually see, like, I know I go back and watch some of the old ECW matches and I cringe. I loved it back in the day. I was like, ECW, I would stay up till 2:00 in the morning when ECW would come on public access. I loved it. But now I'm like, now that I know concussions and like I've been in car.
And how many of those dudes are fucking dead now? I mean,
right. How many of them are dead or can't walk? They can't function properly. CTE is a real thing now. Yep. Like, I've been in car accidents myself, and it's like the shit's not fun. Having to rehab and all this, that's not fucking fun.
Yeah.
So it's like all these, it's just dumb. But yeah, like that match though was good, and like I did see something last night that happened. And I was like, holy shit, this is they actually let him do one of the banned moves where what was it? AJ Styles with a brainbuster.
Yeah.
And you could, but the thing is, I don't think they were actually like, oh yeah, you can do that. I think it just happened.
Right.
Because it happened, and JBL was like silent for a second. He was like, oh yeah, the brainbuster, just like so and so used to do.
Yeah.
It was like, AJ is gonna get fucking lit up when he gets back there.
Yeah, now we'll see. AJ won't have a match at Battleground. It'll just be Anderson versus Cena or something.
Right.
I feel like they let AJ and Rollins does that too. I think they get away with a little bit more than
right. But then again, they've been letting a lot of shit that was banned come back. True. So we saw the brainbuster and the whole poisoned Frankensteiner thing. Neville's been doing the shit out of that. But then again, he's been only doing it with people that actually know how to take it.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of stuff that has been banned that's slowly coming back because people I'll catch heat for this, but I'm going to go ahead and say most of the people that are on the roster now are more skilled than the people were back in the Attitude Era and stuff like that. Love a lot of them to death, but a lot of them were unsafe.
Yeah.
They worked stiffer back then, which is not good.
Right, exactly.
As much as we love, I will sit there and watch New Japan and fucking watch these dudes wail on each other. Sure, that works in that arena because that's what they do. But it's not good for you. Like, it's just fucking terrible, Yeah,
that's not supposed to be the goal, so.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel some of it too. I mean, I guess a lot of these guys have an indie background, and maybe some of it is that they're all getting the same training at the Performance Center now. So, for some of them anyway, I don't know. Maybe that hasn't been around long enough for us to see that as the reason yet. But there's more of there's a different kind of pedigree than those Attitude Era guys had, I think, at this point. But especially with somebody like AJ, who's been doing this for 18 years or whatever, by the time he even got to WWE. I mean, that's different than any of those guys ever were.
Right.
So I'm all right. I mean, I feel Ambrose himself feels like a placeholder reign, which I think is good. It gives him good credibility down the road, but I still don't feel like they're committed to him anyway. I feel like every time Stephanie or anybody talks about him, they basically tell us that they don't take him seriously. So,
right. And if you don't give us a reason to take him seriously, like I know people are going to get attracted to the character and they're going to follow that and it's going to be great, but at the same time, it's like, you can't constantly shit on the character, and some people are going to start to latch on to that and be like, oh yeah, he's not worth it. If you continuously tell people, unless it's a Daniel Bryan where it's just like, okay, we love the guy, sorry, but Ambrose ain't that. So,
no, you can't. And I don't. Yeah, they created the Bryan phenomenon a little bit, but a lot of it is just because that was Daniel Bryan, and they haven't cloned Daniel Bryan yet. So
right,
yeah. All right, anything else?
I
think we hit everything that happened.
Yeah, I remember the past few weeks has been quite interesting for me, being that I'm in between both worlds of the UFC and WWE. Since Brock is on the cover.
Yeah, next week we're gonna get really interesting too, because UFC 200 is a week from Saturday, right?
I think so.
So are you in the total Hunt's gonna sleep him camp?
So I am leaning toward more than likely Brock's gonna get slept. There are so many things as to why. I know a lot of mixed martial art, or not mixed art. I even have friends that are, more so pro wrestling fans in there. So they're like, oh, Brock is the beast incarnate. I was like, yeah, but wait.
Yep.
Yes, Brock's great. He is an amazing athlete. He is a super athlete. But there's this thing called, even if he wasn't, take anyone that's been gone for 4 years or whatever, however long he's been gone. There's a thing called ring rust, and it's a very real thing.
Yep.
You
would see it in pro wrestling, even in something scripted.
Exactly. When you get back in there, everything's not going to be the same. Brock hasn't. One, he's still at the same camp, which wasn't that great of a camp, period. Yep. It was a camp that he built around himself, but he didn't get the people that he needed to get to do that. That's one aspect of it. Two, he does not react to getting hit well. A lot of people are like, oh, he doesn't have a chin. No, Brock's actually got a great chin, because Shane Carwin was knocking motherfuckers out. He was putting them they got one-way trips to the land of wind and ghosts, and but Brock actually survived it. The problem is he does not react well to getting hit. When he gets punched, and this is even by people that aren't nearly as hit as hard as Mark Hunt, he shells up. I'm talking Street Fighter Blanca, just hands over his face, moving backwards, and that's not good. Sure, if he does get Hunt down, which Hunt's got pretty good takedown defense, if he does, then sure, you could definitely submit him. It's not outside of the realm of possibility. A lot of people are oh, he's just, no, it could happen. Yeah. Brock's an amazing athlete. So, but long period of time off, he does not allow people in his training camp to hit him in the face. So that's not going to condition him to react well to it.
To getting hit in the face.
Getting hit in the face. And go watch some highlights of Mark Hunt knock people out. It's not so you've got two different kinds of power when it comes to combat sports. You have, this is how I look at it. You have concussive force, which is kind of like when you throw a grenade, it's a big explosion. And then you have people that are just dumb strong. And that's Mark Hunt. When he hits people, it's not they're out cold. It's he hits them, they go down, and it's their brain's just been taken out. They are reaching all over the place, trying to figure out where the fuck they are. He's knocked out people that are seemingly impossible to knock out. He broke a dude's jaw in like 3 places. Like, it's just, this is like
stupid strong. Yeah.
This is stupid strong. Like, and it's like, I don't see, you have a guy that doesn't like getting hit in the face, and you have a guy that's really good at punching people in the face. It's like, this is bad. This is, so it could be, nothing's outside of the realm of possibility. Brock could definitely win. Just, I don't think he will,
Yeah.
Like,
no, I mean, I'm more on the casual MMA fan side, and yeah, I mean, Mark Hunt's not undefeated, so people beat him. So, and Brock is a world-class athlete, so it's possible. But yeah, I mean, the potential for something that's like really bad for Brock's brand and therefore WWE's brand here is really big.
And the whole thing of like, they're still kind of advertising him for shows. Like, if he gets knocked out, that's a 90, like under boxing combat sports rule. Yeah. It's a 90-day, 90 days period. Like, you have to, there's no contact. So he's not going to be able to wrestle. Right. He just won't,
And WWE isn't sanctioned in the same way, but even so, they don't want to say, oh yeah, this guy was on he was loopy. You all watched him be loopy on one of the biggest pay-per-views ever a couple weeks ago, and now here he is to fight AJ Styles or whatever. They're not going to want to do that.
Yeah, no, you can't, like, with all the concussion stuff going on. No. Like, if a dude gets knocked out, WWE. Yeah. Exactly. That's horrible.
You don't want to give them exhibit B on why they should be paying Vito or whoever the fuck's suing them these days.
Right. Which, and like, I understand what they're doing, but at the same time, like, y'all knew what y'all were getting into. A lot of you have known that for the longest time. Look, I woke up, I had a fucking concussion. Like, you knew that, but you continue to do it.
Yep. WWE, the way they treat wrestlers is not,
it's not great.
Good, but yeah, I mean, I'm in the same. I mean, you guys, you could have walked away. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's not like these lawsuits are coming from,
it's not big name guys. It's
exactly. It's not guys that were working main event schedules and doing 40-minute matches every night. I mean, fucking Big Vito was doing, I mean, at his peak.
Right.
What, jobbing on the undercard. I mean,
and most of his concussions came in ECW. So
I don't think does the liability transfer when you buy somebody? I don't think that. Maybe.
So it depends. Yeah.
I'm not a lawyer, so anyway. So and Punk's just gonna get.
Oh yeah.
Like, do you even care? I mean, do you even care anymore? I mean, if you ever did, do you even care about that fight?
It's an interesting thing. Like, so on both sides you have people that absolutely hate him. Like, you've got people from the UFC, fans of the UFC that are like, oh, this is a fucking travesty, blah, blah, blah. I was like, how is this? It's not, like, you have a guy that is going to fight another guy of similar, I guess you could say, of the amount of time they've been experienced. Exactly, yeah. Like, it's not like this is, sure, he's been doing WWE for a long fucking time, but like, you can't get mad at this shit. Like, it's, and then you have people on the WWE side that are still pissed off about, everything that he said and blah, 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 blah.
And just that he left. Yeah.
Oh, and it's like, dude, this is one of the things I don't think people tend to understand, is that these aren't just characters. These are actually people that have lives outside of this. So like, even like, for instance, Geno's kind of taking a little bit of a break right now. Life happens, and we need to like take time to do stuff. Maybe there's things that we want to do outside of it, and that's what Punk did. I respect the hell out of him. Yeah. I'm not gonna ever fucking step in a cage. I've trained kickboxing, and I did a little bit of jiu-jitsu, but like, I'm never gonna step in the cage. That's shit. Like, but it'll be interesting. Like, I'm not really invested in it like some people are. Right. Like, if it happens and he wins, great. If he loses, I doubt he's ever gonna fight again. Yep. And everything said and done, I would not be surprised if he ends up working with the WWE again at some point.
Yeah.
You know, like time heals all wounds for the most part. But you know,
and money helps that too.
And money helps that too. Because, like, let's be real. If the WWE gets Punk back, like, that is going to be one of the biggest acquisitions.
Yep. I mean, the moment you hear fucking Cult of Personality hit again, whatever, it doesn't matter what grudges you have against them or whatever, that place is going to fucking explode.
Gone away. Just like that, you know? Yeah. So it's, yeah.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat on Punk. I kind of hope he wins. I mean, just because I like to watch people freak out.
Like I'm rooting for him, like, because it's like, yo, you left a really lucrative, you know, relative, or according to him, relatively lucrative, job to go do a dream. Like,
I mean, he left safe money, whatever it was.
Right, like you left money that you're almost guaranteed to get to go and do, just live a dream. Like, how many people actually are comfortable enough financially to just stop and be like, fuck it, I'm gonna go live my dream? Applaud that man. You know, I don't give a damn what you guys thought about how his politics and you know, we don't know what actually happened. You don't know what actually happened. Just because you read dirt streets doesn't mean that you actually know what happened. Like, it's, you know, it's just is what it is. Like,
and you know, on top of whatever the money he walked away from, I mean, he's got the guts to. I mean, he could get humiliated. Huge stage, and he doesn't. I mean, I'm sure he cares, but he's willing to take that risk to give it a shot. So, good for him.
Yeah.
So
it's great. Like, I'm hoping, you know, if he wins, he wins. If he loses, he loses. It's not that, to me, it's not that big of a deal. You know, they're not really. Punk coming to the UFC isn't ruining the UFC. Shit like the Reebok deal and other things. That's what's ruining the fucking UFC. Like, if you're gonna be mad about something, don't get mad because
there's a long list before CM Punk.
Long list of things before CM Punk even you know comes into this. So, like, you have all these different things that could be, you know, but it'll be interesting.
Yep. All right. Closing thought. Anything else? What didn't we hit? What else? What other burning topics have you been waiting for this microphone just to rant about?
There's some things that I can rant about like fucking crazy, but like I'll leave that for another time. Like, if you ever have like a discussion about like diversity and so on and so forth, I can rant about that.
Well, we've been waiting. Like, we were talking about doing that when like they turned New Day, or when they finally let New Day loose.
Right.
And there really hasn't been a giant, I mean, knock on wood, I mean, there hasn't been a huge one in a while, has there? I mean, have we missed the boat on?
No, like, they haven't really.
I mean, there's been the underlying overall WWE sexism and racism that's always there. But
that's always going to be there. Like, the whole Vince and Roman's dad and saying, you know, like, that was
them up and throw them away.
Right. Like, that was like,
whoa,
that was, but it hasn't been nearly as bad. Like, there's more like offensive shit going on in like the indies and stuff like that than anything else. So, but
we need to just do that. We need to just set up that round table and then stop waiting for something horrible to happen and just do it.
Oh yeah, like, you know, wake up Matt Roth from whatever fucking train yard he's sleeping in. Just so that he can fucking come on and fall asleep on camera, you know, we can bring him on to do that too. So.
Oh shit, that guy. All right, we'll get him. Well, thank you, sir. I'm glad we finally got a chance to talk. We've been talking on Twitter for like 2 years, and this is actually the first time we've ever rapped live. So it was good. I don't know what Geno's doing. He's taking some time. I think he'll be back before too long, but I got a couple people lined up for the next couple weeks. But maybe we'll have D.E.O back if his schedule permits it, and Geno's still out, or we'll do something else with him. And fucking deal with it.
Oh yeah, I'll be around.
Nice. Later, everybody.